My sister was a failed influencer until she accidentally filmed me and became viral. Then she made me her content slave while pretending the success was all hers. I never cared about social media. While other girls my age were obsessing over likes and followers, I was focused on my grades and getting into a good college. My sister Maya was the complete opposite. At 18, she'd been trying to become an influencer for 3 years with absolutely zero success. Maya would spend hours every day filming TikToks and Instagram posts. She tried every trend imaginable: dancing challenges, makeup tutorials, outfit changes, day in my life videos, cooking content, even fake pranks. Nothing worked. Her follower count was stuck at around 5,000 people, mostly friends from school and random accounts. Her videos rarely got more than 100 likes. Our parents were constantly frustrated with her. While I was maintaining a 4.0 GPA and applying to universities, Maya was failing her senior year because she spent all her time chasing internet fame instead of studying. My dad would lecture her about wasting her life on meaningless content creation. My mom kept asking when she was going to get serious about her future. But Maya was obsessed. She genuinely believed she was destined to be famous. She'd study other influencers for hours, analyzing their content and trying to figure out what made them successful. She bought expensive ring lights, camera equipment, and editing software that our family couldn't really afford. She even paid for followers and engagement, but nothing helped her break through. I felt bad for her sometimes. Maya would get so excited when a video reached 500 views, only to crash when the next one barely got 50. She'd spend entire weekends filming content, convinced that the next video would be her big break. But weeks would pass with no growth, and I'd find her crying in her room about being a failure. That's why I usually stayed out of her way when she was filming. I didn't want to interrupt her process or accidentally ruin a shot. Maya was very particular about her content and got angry if anyone messed up her setup. She'd lock herself in her room for hours, and we'd hear her filming the same clips over and over until they were perfect. One Saturday afternoon, everything changed completely by accident. I was in the kitchen doing homework at the counter when Maya came downstairs to film a cooking video. She was making some trendy pasta recipes she'd seen online, hoping to capitalize on food content. I barely looked up from my textbook as she set up her phone and started recording. Halfway through her filming, I reached across the counter to grab my water bottle and accidentally knocked over the salt shaker. It spilled everywhere, including into Maya's pasta sauce. Without thinking, I made a disgusted face and said something like, "Oh no, that's going to taste terrible now," while laughing. Maya was furious. She'd been filming for over an hour, and now her video was ruined. She yelled at me for not paying attention and stormed off to her room. I felt terrible and helped clean up the mess, assuming she'd just film the whole thing again later. But Maya posted the video anyway, including the part where I accidentally ruined her cooking. She added some caption about sister sabotage and posted it without telling me. I forgot about the whole incident until the next morning when Maya was screaming from her room. She was staring at her phone in complete shock, showing me that her video had 3 million views overnight. The comments were going crazy, but they weren't praising Maya's cooking skills. Everyone was talking about me. The comments were all variations of, "The little sister is so funny. We need more of her. She's the star of this video. And forget the cooking. Give us sister content." People were making memes out of my facial expression when the salt spilled. Someone even created a compilation video of just my reaction, which got another million views. Maya was experiencing her first viral moment, but it had nothing to do with her content creation skills. It was completely because of my accidental appearance and natural reaction. For someone who'd been desperately trying to go viral for years, finally achieving it because of her little sister was both exciting and devastating. But Maya saw an opportunity. Instead of being upset that I was getting all the attention, she immediately started planning how to capitalize on this success. She told me we should film more videos together, that this could be the start of both our social media careers. I wasn't interested. I'd never wanted to be on social media, And I definitely didn't want strangers on the internet commenting on my appearance or personality. But Maya kept pushing, saying we could be a sister duo and make real money from sponsorships and brand deals. When I refused, Maya got manipulative. She reminded me how hard she'd worked for this opportunity and how I could help her achieve her dreams. She said it would only be temporary, just until she built up her own following, and then I could step back. She promised we'd split any money we made and that she'd handle all the business side of things. I felt guilty saying no when I could see how much this meant to her. Maya had struggled with self-esteem issues for years, and this was the first time she'd ever felt successful at anything. So, I agreed to help her film a few more videos, thinking it would be a short-term thing. But what started as helping my sister quickly turned into something much more controlling. Maya immediately started treating our shared content like a business, with her as the CEO and me as the employee. She created posting schedules, planned video concepts, and started reaching out to brands for partnerships. She set up meetings with a social media manager and even talked to a lawyer about forming an LLC. The problem was that Maya was positioning herself as the main talent and me as the supporting character, even though it was clear from the comments and engagement that people were mainly interested in me. She'd introduce videos by talking about our content, but she was the one doing all the talking and planning. When brands started reaching out for partnerships, Maya handled all the negotiations herself. She'd tell me about opportunities after she'd already agreed to them. I'd show up to film, not knowing what products we were supposed to be promoting or what I was supposed to say about them. Maya also started controlling how I looked and acted in videos. She'd pick out my outfits, do my makeup, and coach me on what personality traits to emphasize. She wanted me to be the relatable little sister character, clumsy, funny, and slightly awkward. If I acted too confident or smart in videos, she'd make me reshoot scenes. The followers and views kept growing. We hit 500K followers within 2 months, and videos featuring both of us regularly got over 1 million views. But videos where Maya appeared alone barely cracked 100K views, which made it obvious who the audience actually wanted to see. This created tension between us that Maya tried to hide from our audience. She'd get frustrated when people commented asking where I was or requesting solo content from me. She started limiting how much I appeared in videos, trying to maintain control over the account while still giving people enough of me to keep them engaged. But what really bothered me was that Maya never acknowledged my contribution to her success. In interviews and brand meetings, she'd talk about building her platform through years of hard work and dedication. She'd mention me as her supportive little sister, who sometimes appeared in videos, but never as the reason for her viral success. Maya was making thousands of dollars per month from sponsorships and brand deals, but she wasn't sharing the money like she'd promised. She'd buy herself expensive clothes, equipment, and even a new car, while giving me small amounts for helping with videos. When I asked about our agreement to split earnings, she'd say the money was going back into growing the business. I started feeling used and resentful, but Maya would guilt me whenever I brought up these concerns. She'd remind me that she was the one doing all the work, managing the account, editing videos, handling business relationships, and dealing with negative comments. She made it sound like I was being ungrateful for not appreciating her efforts. But everything changed when I discovered something that made me realize just how much Maya had been manipulating the situation. I was looking for my phone charger in Maya's room when I found a folder on her desk labeled Brand Partnerships. Inside were contracts and email chains with companies that wanted to work with us. But as I read through them, I realized that brands were specifically requesting me, not Maya. Email after email showed companies asking for the younger sister to be the main focus of sponsored content. Some brands explicitly said they were only interested in partnerships if I was featured prominently. A few companies had even asked if they could work with me directly, without Maya involved at all. But Maya had been telling me that brands wanted both of us equally, and that she was doing me a favor by including me in these deals. She'd been negotiating rates based on my popularity, while telling me I was just a supporting character. The most shocking discovery was a conversation thread with her social media manager about managing the sister situation. They discussed strategies for keeping me dependent on Maya's platform instead of encouraging me to start my own account. They talked about gradually reducing my screen time to see how much they could decrease my presence before followers started complaining. There was even a plan to eventually phase me out entirely once Maya had built up enough of her own fan base. The goal was to use my popularity to grow her following, then slowly transition to Maya-only content so she could claim full credit for the account's success. I felt completely betrayed. Maya had been using my accidental viral moment to build her career while actively working to prevent me from having my own success. She'd been lying about brand requests, keeping money that was meant for me, and planning to eventually cut me out of the content that only worked because of my presence. That night, I confronted Maya about what I'd found. She immediately got defensive and accused me of snooping through her private business materials. She tried to downplay the emails, saying I was misunderstanding the context and that she was just protecting both of our interests. When I pressed her about the money and the brand requests specifically for me, Maya finally admitted that yes, companies were mainly interested in working with me. But she argued that I wouldn't know how to handle business negotiations or maintain a social media presence without her guidance. She insisted that our partnership was still beneficial for both of us, and that I was being selfish for wanting to break up a successful team. She reminded me that she'd been working on social media for years before I came along, and that I owed my success to being featured on her established platform. But I was done being manipulated. I told Maya that I wanted to start my own social media accounts and handle my own business relationships. I said she could continue with her content, but I wouldn't be appearing in her videos anymore unless we had a fair partnership with proper financial arrangements. Maya panicked. She knew that losing me would mean losing most of her audience and income. She tried to negotiate, offering me a higher percentage of earnings and more creative control over our content. But I'd already made up my mind. The next day, I created my own TikTok and Instagram accounts. For my first video, I decided to tell the truth about everything that had happened. I explained how Maya's viral video had actually happened by accident, how I'd never wanted to be on social media, and how I'd been pressured into continuing to create content. I talked about discovering that brands were specifically requesting me while Maya pretended they wanted both of us equally. Most importantly, I showed evidence of the emails and contracts that proved companies were trying to work with me directly, while Maya was blocking those opportunities and keeping the money for herself. The response was immediate and overwhelming. My video got 5 million views in the first day, and I gained 800K followers within a week. The comments were full of support from people who'd suspected something was wrong with our partnership, and were happy to see me speaking up for myself. Maya's account, meanwhile, lost over 200K followers in the same week. People were angry about how she'd been treating me and started calling her out in the comments of her videos. Several brands canceled their partnerships with her after learning about the situation. Maya tried to damage control by posting a response video claiming I was lying and that she'd always been supportive of my goals. But the evidence I'd shared was too clear, and people weren't buying her explanation. She also tried to guilt me privately, crying about how I destroyed her career and ruined her dreams. She accused me of being jealous of her success and said I was trying to steal everything she'd worked for. But I didn't feel guilty anymore. Maya had stolen my success first, and I was just taking back what was rightfully mine. Within 3 months, my individual accounts had more followers than Maya's ever did, even at her peak. Brands were reaching out to work with me directly, and I was making more money in a month than Maya had shared with me in the entire time we'd worked together. The best part was that I was creating content I actually enjoyed, instead of performing a character Maya had designed for me. I could be myself, talk about things I cared about, and connect with an audience that appreciated me for who I really was. Maya eventually had to get a regular job, because her social media income disappeared almost entirely. She tried a few times to restart her content creation, but she never regained the momentum she'd had when I was involved. Our relationship took a long time to repair. Maya was bitter about losing her influencer career, and I was angry about how she'd manipulated and used me. But eventually, we were able to talk honestly about what had happened and why she'd made those choices. Maya admitted that she'd been so desperate to be famous that she'd convinced herself she deserved credit for my success. She'd worked so hard for so long without results that when I accidentally went viral, she felt like the universe owed her that opportunity. I understand her desperation, but I don't excuse how she treated me. She had a choice between supporting my success and exploiting it, and she chose exploitation. Now I have my own successful social media presence, built on authentic content and honest relationships with my audience. I've learned to set boundaries and handle business negotiations myself. Most importantly, I've learned that family members can be just as manipulative as strangers when they want something from you. My advice to anyone in a similar situation is to trust your instincts when something feels unfair. Don't let family guilt or loyalty prevent you from standing up for yourself when you're being taken advantage of. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones most willing to exploit our success for their own benefit. But you don't owe anyone your opportunities, especially when they're not willing to share the rewards fairly. As we wrap up today's story, remember that Viral Family Tales brings you a new story every single day. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. If this story resonated with you, or if you've experienced something similar with family members trying to control your success, please share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you, and your engagement helps us continue creating content that matters. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share it with anyone who might need to hear about standing up for themselves in family situations. Thank you for being part of the Viral Family Tales community.